Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Sparkle English. My name is Jennifer, and today I'm going to teach you all about personification in English. So first of all, personification is a figure of speech or a literary device where human qualities are given to animals, objects, or ideas. And we use personification to create vivid imagery and to make our writing more interesting. Let's talk a bit more about personification. It comes from the Latin word persona, meaning person, and it gives human traits, emotions, or actions to non-human entities. Let's look at an example. The leaves danced gracefully in the autumn breeze. This is a very beautiful sentence, very poetic, and when you read it, you envision something like this. Leaves that are actually dancing in the autumn breeze. Now, of course, leaves can't dance. Humans can dance, but leaves cannot dance. So personification is used here to make the sentence more beautiful and more interesting to read. It sounds much more romantic written like this than the leaves blew around in the breeze. Let's look at some more examples. The clock stared at me, mocking my procrastination. So when you read a sentence like that, you might picture a clock actually staring at you and mocking you. Now, of course, a clock is an object and it cannot stare or mock. So personification is used here to make a sentence more interesting, more dramatic, and to add humor. Another example. The moon bathed the forest in a gentle silvery glow. Of course, a moon can't actually bathe. A mother bathes her child. So personification is used here to create a vivid and poetic image, and it suggests that the moon is actively washing the forest in its light. It creates emotion. It's just a more beautiful image than saying something more literal. So that brings me to personification versus literal language. So as we discussed, with personification, we attribute human qualities to animals, objects, or ideas. And with literal language, words and expressions are used according to their exact meanings. So let's compare some sentences where personification is used versus literal language. The thunder growled and roared in the distance. So, of course, thunder cannot actually growl and roar. Animals growl and roar. So, in this example, personification is used to attribute animal-like characteristics to an inanimate object or phenomenon. So, the key to personification is giving any kind of living traits, whether human or animal, to something that is not alive. Thunder is an inanimate, non-living thing, but it's being described as if it can produce sounds that animals make. If we were to compare this with a sentence that is literal and uses literal language, the thunder was loud in the distance. Here's another example. The sun smiled down at us while we sat outside. Now, the sun can't actually smile. People smile. So personification is used here to make the sun sound cheerful and happy. Using literal language, we would say the sun was shining brightly while we sat outside. So remember that as long as non-living things or abstract concepts are given any qualities of living beings, it's considered personification. So let's look at some more examples of how personification is used. It's used very often in poetry and in literature to engage readers, create mood, and provide depth to settings or ideas. Authors and writers have a lot of freedom with personification. Stories are made much more interesting, especially poetry. For example, the waves kissed the shore, retreating with a soft sigh. Here, personification is used because waves obviously cannot kiss, and they don't sigh, but it's a much more romantic sentence. Another example, the warm fire welcomed us as we gathered together in the living room. A fire cannot welcome a person. A fire is warm. But this sentence uses personification to demonstrate how comfortable and inviting the room was. Now, personification is also used in everyday speech to make conversations fun, amusing, or interesting. For example, time flies when you're having fun. This is a very common expression in English, and personification is used in this sentence because time is given the ability to fly, which it cannot literally do. But using this expression shows how quickly time seems to pass when you're enjoying yourself. Here's another example. My alarm clock was screaming at me this morning. Personification is used here because an alarm clock cannot actually scream, but in this sentence, personification is used to emphasize just how loud or annoying the alarm clock was. So now it's time for a quick quiz. I'm going to read 6 different sentences, and you must determine if personification is used or if it is a literal statement. Let's begin. Number 1. My car groaned as I tried to start it. Number 2. The black cat slept on the couch all afternoon. Number 3. Eric threw my books on the table. Number 4. The clouds marched across the sky, heavy with rain. Number 5. The sun set behind the mountains. And finally, number 6. The flames danced merrily in the fireplace, warming the room. Okay, let's identify these together. Number 1, personification is used, and that's because the car is given the human quality of groaning, which is something cars can't literally do, but it creates an image of the car struggling to start. Number 2 is literal. This is a straightforward description of a cat sleeping. Number 3 is also literal. This sentence describes an action without attributing any human qualities to any inanimate objects. Number 4, personification is used. The clouds are given the human action of marching, which emphasizes their movement across the sky. Number 5 is literal. This is a factual description of the sun setting. And finally, in number 6, personification is used because the flames are described as dancing, which is a human action. So let me know in the comment section how many you got correct out of 6. And if you have any other questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below as well. Make sure to subscribe to Sparkle English for more lessons like this one, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next lesson.